Well, hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on news about Desawe Kanda, also live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. Welcome to the 27th GJ Best Television Program of the Year. This is Ghana Tonight. I am Alfred Ocansey. Coming up this evening, calm begins to return to Garo in the Upper East region after military brutalized residents in what is said to be a retaliation for an attack on the national security operatives. Many have been left various degrees of injuries. We'll look at the situation and the issues at stake. Stay with us. The Office of Special Prosecutor has closed the case against the under fire former Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Charles Edubwahing, saying there is no law on which the office can prosecute him. Does this bring closure to the case? We have some analysis. Stay with us. Also, we have updates on the Akonsombo and the Kpong Dam spillage and also what is happening in Keta as well. The spillage of excess water from the Keta Lagoon. The water levels have been rising over the period, and which has led to some of the communities over there, over 241 of them, experiencing some flooding. We'll give you an update on that shortly here on Ghana Tonight. As always, you're an integral part of the conversation. Let's hear from you. The hashtag we're using is Ghana Tonight on Facebook and Twitter or X. As always, let's get connected. Let's get talking. Let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
Presbyterian Boys Senior High School, Legon, has set another back-to-back record after defending the National Science and Maths Quiz Trophy won last year. Blue Magicians, as the all-boys schools is popularly called, beat Achimota School and Opokuwari School on Monday, October 30 to win the 2023 edition. With a total of 40 points, Presec became winners of the annual Science and Maths contest for a record 8th time. The Office of the Special Prosecutor says former Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Charles Edubwahing, exhibited a lack of sound judgment when he received $40,000 from persons he believed to be investors. His assurance of granting these supposed investors access to the Vice President has also been described as reckless. Despite these worrying conclusions, the Special Prosecutor believes he cannot file criminal charges against the former minister because Ghana's laws do not criminalize influence peddling. This is the conclusion into a probe commissioned in the wake of an investigation documentary capturing Charles Edubwahing engaging these investors. 7 people have been arrested by the police in Nkwanta in the Oti region. The arrest is in connection with violent disturbances that led to the death of one person. The police says its preliminary investigation revealed that the suspects, in the company of others, clashed with an opposing faction during a traditional festival at Nkwanta. The suspects are currently in custody, assisting with investigations, while efforts are underway to get other suspects arrested. 5 other people also sustained gunshot wounds, and a number of houses were set ablaze. The body of the deceased have been deposited at the Nkwanta Government Hospital. Calm has since been restored and security, law and order have been strengthened in and around Nkwanta. The Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu has urged politicians and Ghanaians to patronize the rule of law in their public discourse, stating that failure to do so could potentially disrupt the country's peace. She made the observation at the sword-cutting ceremony of a new school of law for the University of Ghana.
Discourse in all sectors of our political and social economy should stand on the solid appreciation of the shape of our Constitution, from which all our laws are shaped. We all should have no doubt that it is critical thinking and deep intellectual appraisal of the rule of law that we need as a country if we are to succeed in the grasp for economic and social growth as designed in the 1992 Constitution.
Ahead of the Finance Minister's budget presentation, Ghana Union of Traders Association called for a downward revision of taxes, which they describe as exorbitant. In an interview with 3 Business, President of the association, Dr. Joseph Obin, expressed great concern about the impact these taxes are having on the survival of businesses.
Fighting for overall reduction of the many taxes that we have, especially when it comes to the VAT, how it is structured, it's not helping the growth of businesses. Why are we not coming down with our expenditure? Because if you bring you all the money and then you also double your expenditure and all that, the revenue that we get cannot sustain that of your expenditure.
Well, there's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. Now, I'm going to show you a video which we secured not too long ago. An attack on a branch of the Church of Pentecost in Johannesburg, South Africa, by armed robbers while church service was ongoing yesterday. Take a look.
Successful people in life. And what there are some key principles here on the Bobra. Now, oh yes, sir.
This is a very, very, very worrying and a scary experience. Some of the Ghanaians, in fact, this is a Ghanaian church, Church of Pentecost in the Ghanaian community in Johannesburg. You heard the pastor speaking the tree there. We have a statement from the Ghanaian High Commission in South Africa on this matter. We understand that one of the elders of this church has been kidnapped. That's the information that we have. So stay with me here on Ghana Tonight. We'll give you an update on this as we go on. But coming up next, calm begins to return to Garu in the Upper East region after the military brutalized residents in what is said to be a retaliation for an attack on the national security operatives. Many have been left with various degrees of injuries. We look at the issues at stake and then also what the way forward really is. Now, we've been monitoring this quite closely over the last almost 48 hours when we got news of this incident happening. Hundreds of residents of Garu and Timpani are yet to return home, nearly over 24 hours after the joint military national security swoop on Sunday. The Upper East Regional Minister, Stephen Yakubu, has been visiting the two communities and urging residents to remain calm while the government takes steps to deal with the situation. Take a look.
And I wanted to come and abreast myself with what happened, to see exactly what happened. And you have been in all the meetings and the people, their concerns and all that. So we've heard all that. And we're going to go back and then brief Accra exactly what happened. What they are saying, their graves, beatings and all that, we've heard all that. Some are even complaining that their phones were taken away. Some are even complaining that their monies were taken away. These are course that we are going to put together, and to also let Accra know what exactly what we have come to hear and what we have come to also tell us. So it is good that we are here to see everything firsthand. The DCs are here. They have seen it since yesterday. I am here. I've acquainted myself with whatever has happened. So I think it's good. It's also good that we came to also to explain and also to let the people know why some of these things happened. And I think that is good that there's a press conference that has been put out there for national security. I think all of us should respect that document, what the document is saying. So I don't want to go in there. The most important thing is that we are here firsthand. We've seen some of the people that were beaten, and we have explained also the matter and also taken their grievances. And I think we'll send the report to Accra. And you know, it is also yesterday, a lot of them didn't actually sleep in their houses because they thought that they were going to come back. We have reassured them and told them that nothing of that sort is going to happen again, which in itself is very good. We are their leaders, we are their brothers, we are their sons, and I think it's good for us also to come first and to know what actually happened. And I think it's good that we've seen it.
So that's the regional minister. He's the chair of the Regional Security Council on this matter. They said they are looking into this issue and they've launched investigations into it. But even before the investigations start into this incident that's left many people injured in Garu and its environs, the National Security has also been speaking about this, putting out a statement earlier telling their side of the issue. Here's what they said. That on Tuesday, October 24, 2023, an Irish youth group armed with AK-47 rifles, machetes, and other weapons besieged a team of 5 counter-terrorism that's group of people. That's the security operatives. If you recall, sometime last week here on Ghana Tonight, we showed you a video of a V8, which was, we understand, occupied by some national security operatives that were accosted by a vigilante group that was set up by the community, if you recall. Now, let me take you back a bit and establish context. So if you hear the national security making reference to an attack on its operatives by an irate group of young people, this is the incident they are talking about, which we reported on Ghana Tonight last week, that a vigilante group set up by the Garu community accosted this vehicle with GS, the registration number GS7520-2022, occupied by national security operatives. This group was described as a vigilante group set up by the community. Now, when they accosted this vehicle, they took the occupants to the police, and you would see them, the Ghana Police Service officials, having a conversation. This is it. This is members of the youth group that accosted the persons in that V8, took them to this police station. Now, we had a picture of the V8 also riddled with some bullet holes. And that's what the national security is talking about. They've been shot at with AK-47 rifles. This is the picture. You see the bullet holes in the windows. This is a vehicle that indeed now, per the National Security's own statement, confirms that this vehicle is indeed for the National Security, was occupied by persons who were confirmed as National Security operatives. Now, take a look at this part of the statement as well by the National Security that gives some further better particulars. So they talk about AK-47 rifles, machetes, and other weapons besieged a team of 5 counter-terrorism intelligence officers deployed by the Ministry of National Security to Garu. So the National Security is confirming that they deployed these persons to Garu in the Upper East region on a critical special operation. Despite initial attempts to introduce themselves as national security operatives or personnel, the irate youth group proceeded to attack the officers by firing multiple gunshots at a black Toyota Land Cruiser, which we've just shown you a picture of, in which the officers were seated. Following an escalation of the attacks on their vehicles, the officers drove to seek refuge at the Garu police station. The irate youth subsequently pursued the officers, encircled the police station, and fired multiple shots at same with the intention of killing the officers. The timely intervention of the Ghana Armed Forces enabled the safe evacuation of the national security personnel from Garu Police Station. Further to the aforesaid development, the Ministry of National Security and the Ghana Armed Forces on Saturday, October 28, conducted a joint operation in Garu. Here's what happened. To seize weapons used by the perpetrators of the attack on the national security personnel. So this joint operation, the purpose was to seize the weapon, the AK-47 that the national security is mentioned in the statement, what I just read to you. A number of perpetrators have also been arrested. This was the purpose of this joint operation, to seize the weapons and then the perpetrators. But now we're talking about scores of people who have been left with various degrees of injury as a result of this joint operation. And that's why concerns and questions are being raised about the modus operandi of this joint operation. If it was meant to retrieve these weapons that were used and the perpetrators, how come some persons who have been described as innocent have been left with injuries? Fundamental questions we're asking. Now, there are some people also making a case that some mobile phones and others were taken from them. One of such persons is Bartholomew Asari, who is an assembly member for the Garu Nantinga electoral area in Garu. He's joining us on the telephone. Thank you very much for your time here on Ghana Tonight. First off, are you one of the persons whose mobile phone was taken from you, reportedly taken from you by the Ghana Armed Forces, the joint operation?
Thank you very much for the special offer, giving me the opportunity to say exactly what I know about the mobile phones. I want to indicate that it is not me directly, but a brother.
A brother?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, so when the alarm blew and everybody was running for his or her dear life, I think the son was still in the room, and they broke into the room, and then they asked him to bring the phones and the money. So, and as of the father, he said he doesn't know where his father is. So they took the monies away and the phones away and told the boy that he's a scammer. But for me, because of the alarm, I also decided to run away because I don't know what it was for. Until later on, it was discovered that it was the Ghana Armed Forces that were brutalizing people in the community. So after I have run away, they came and woke up my 6-year-old boy and beat him up and handed him over to the mother in my absence. So I think with the attacks on the people, they have actually sustained various degrees. And as I'm talking to you now, I'm not in the house. I don't even know what is happening on your screen. So they said they will come back for us. That this is the first phase. They will come back for us. According to my wife who was in the house, they said they will come back for us. And because of that, I know a whole lot of us, the youth, are sleeping in the bush. Because if you have seen what has happened to our colleagues who have been hospitalized, some who have been treated and discharged, and others who have refused to go to seek medical care at the health facilities. You don't need anybody to convince you that you should come back to the house. You should be hiding somewhere in the bush.
They said they will come back for you.
Yes.
To come and do what?
Exactly. That is the first phase, and they will be coming back for the second phase. So with this message that has gotten into our ears, I think it's advisable to actually continue living in the bush than to return home to face the second phase of it. We don't know how it will look like. Seeing the first phase. So
you are currently in the bush?
Yes, please.
And you've left your wife and your child at home?
Yes, I don't have any option.
But you indicated to me that the military personnel beat up your 6-year-old son?
Yes, they woke him from sleep and then took a wire which was lying in the room and lashed him properly. So when he got up and was running to the mother, according to the mother, when he was running towards the mother, they shouted on him and asked him to lie down. So when he lay down, they used the wire again and lashed the buttocks, lashed the back and part of the ribs. So the next when they break, we had to take him to the hospital to seek medical attention. So I think currently he's responding well.
But so you have evidence, pictures of the marks of this wire was used on him at his back.
Because of his age, I don't want to share it with anybody.
Indeed, but no, we don't want you to share. But I'm saying you personally, you have pictures of this incident. Your
yes,
6-year-old.
He's my son. He's in the house, and anytime I need pictures of him or whatever, I don't even need pictures. Once I have him as my son in the house,
great.
It is the doctor that has attended to him that will be able to tell what has happened to him.
Your regional minister is saying that they're going to launch investigations into this. And so they need people who have been brutalized to come up front and report this. So are you going to take at least this case of your 6-year-old son being beaten with the wires you're reporting now by these military personnel during this joint operation to your regional minister to look into it?
If I'm given the opportunity to, I'll let it go through.
He's listening to you now. Even if it's not, it's something we're going to. This what you've just told us, we will take it to him, right? On your behalf, since you are in the bush, talking to us now. So how many of you are hiding in the bush now?
This is an interesting question. We are all hiding, and it's very difficult to know the number of people that are seeking refuge at the bush.
All of you have run away into the bush?
Yes, please.
There's no indication of when you intend to come back?
As soon as, what happens is that some of our brothers have been taken away, some have been hospitalized, and they are telling us that there will be a second phase. And we are all scared. We don't know how the second phase will look like. So if we get the assurance that nothing is going to happen to us, why not? We are not animals. We would like to live in our homes.
And this assurance must come from who?
The highest authority.
Being the minister, your regional minister?
Our regional minister, the district chief executive, our MPs, and then all well-meaning Ghanaians in high-profile offices. They give us the assurance that nothing is going to happen to us. We should return home. Why not? We'll come home and take care of our children to go to school.
This group that the national security is saying that they attacked these persons in that V8, are they a vigilante group, or as the minister, the national security statement is describing them as a irate group of young people with AK-47?
I think that these are technical issues, and as a layman, I cannot say so much about that.
And please be safe in the bush where you are with all these people. And as you have spoken to us, I'm sure a lot of people are watching us right now. We will get to the regional minister on your behalf, and we'll seek an intervention for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Bartholomew Asori is the assembly member for the Garu-Nantinga electoral area, and you've just heard it from him, joining us live from a bush in the area, because a number of them have run for safety, to go and seek safety in the bush because of this joint operation that left a number of them with various degrees of injury. This 6-year-old son that he's talking about is something that we're going to take keen interest in, and we'll pursue it quite vigorously to get to the bottom of this matter. But the Member of Parliament for the Garu constituency has also been speaking about this and what he intends to do next. He spoke earlier on News 360. Take a look.
What the national security statement is about is a fair-saving statement. This is an afterthought after the incident. I do not think that really this is something that the national security actually intended to put out there. In the first place, The national security, the security operatives that were purported to be sent to on operation. When the incident happened, when I was woken up at night around 2 a.m. Yesterday, when my attempts to reach the police commander on the ground proved futile. I tried several times, I wasn't getting him. I got the DC online. When I asked the DC whether he was aware about this national security operation who came earlier on, they all said they didn't know. BNI officer on the ground didn't know. So how I got the regional minister. The regional minister said he didn't know. So if all these actors, government representatives on the ground and at the region didn't know about the national security operation in Garu, so what kind of operation were they going to conduct? Such that all other security actors were not aware about their presence. What we have to understand is that you cannot do an operation, security operation, in a rural area like Garu and succeed without any information. Because you require information from people within the...
So that's a member of parliament for the Garu constituency. He's indicated that there's going to be a push, a full-scale investigation to this matter. The member of parliament for the Wa West constituency, Peter Nantani Tobu, who is also a former police chief, is joining us on the telephone. Thank you so much for your time here on Ghana Tonight. This is something I know you've been following quite closely. How does this narrative by the national security get to you that there was a report of an assault? They say the military's action was a joint operation in Garu to seize weapons used to attack operatives of the national security.
Thank you very much, Alfred, and good evening to various listeners. What happened in Garu cannot be anything that will encourage anybody in uniform. It cannot be anything that will encourage anybody within the security sector. The security sector is well structured. National security is so central to the success of security in this country as much as they play that lead role of coordination. National security is not an operational agency. Let's get it right. If national security veers into operation, they mess up the whole structure. When national security does to pretend over the intelligence of this country, analyzes information and arrives at an intelligent position and decides that this is an action that is requiring the police to step in. This is a situation that requires the armed forces to step in. This is a situation that requires the Ghana Immigration Service to step in. At that material moment, national security is deemed to be playing that revolving role. But if you have men and women who say they are national security personnel taking up operational roles to the point that they even get into a system and they are attacked, I was surprised that even if you decide to deploy them in such a volatile area within the Boko Haram environment, there should be a backup plan. If there is no buddy system, as we call it, there should be a backup plan for men and women in uniform, whether police or military, to understand that these people are going in here to gather intelligence, but in case of anything, please, your response period should not be less than 10-15 minutes. But for them to go and be attacked, and you go and sit down and plan and go back to say you are going to retrieve arms. I don't know how many arms they got out of that. But the moment you round up people, they become vulnerable. And international humanitarian law will even prevent you from torturing them. They can be criminals. They can even be murderers. But the moment they are rounded up and they become vulnerable, you will think of the dignity and the right of the people when you begin to torture them.
Okay. You are a member of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. Parliament resumes tomorrow. Is this an issue that you would take interest in keenly from tomorrow?
I am trusting that the members of Parliament in that area will definitely do something. And if they raise it on the floor of Parliament, all of us will contribute to the debate to ensure that at least this country remains peaceful and people will be in their lane. Whatever it is, the Constitution is very clear as the role of the army and the role of the police and the role of the Ghana Immigration Service and the role of even national security.
Appreciate your time.
And
thank you.
That is done. I don't think that we need to try it.
Right. I thank you very much. The Member of Parliament for the Wa West constituency, Peter Nantani Tobu, is also a member of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, former police chief. He understands how some of these issues work. And we'll see how Parliament responds to this matter beginning tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, members of the Johannesburg branch of the Ghanaian Church of Pentecost were robbed of their valuables at gunpoint, and a deacon, we understand, of the church has been kidnapped during a church service on Sunday. That was yesterday. We've got the details, including the videos of exactly what happened with these armed robbers storming that church service yesterday. And we showed you just a brief of it earlier. But take a look at the full clip, because we have a Ghanaian who was in that church in Johannesburg, the Church of Pentecost, when this incident happened. One of the members was brave enough to have recorded, put a video, a phone at the point, recorded the entire proceedings of this incident. The armed robbers storming the church during the church service yesterday, Church of Pentecost, the Ghanaian community. Take a look.
And what there are some key principles here on the Bobra. Now, oh yes, sir.
And it's a very, very scary experience. And what we understand is that members of the Johannesburg branch of the Ghanaian Church of Pentecost, as you saw, they were robbed of their valuables at gunpoint. A number of them, their mobile phones were taken, and the monies, some were going to use for the offering, was also taken. And you saw in that video, the head pastor of the church as well was ordered to lie down, and then also his money is taken from his pocket. And then we saw, yet to be confirmed, what happened as well to one of the members. But what we are getting information of now is that a deacon of the Church of Pentecost in Johannesburg, the Ghanaian community, was kidnapped during that church service yesterday. That's this very, very sad story. This is what you see on the screen. Now, take a look at this aspect of the video that shows the deacon being ordered to lie down and walked out. Take a look. it's a near-death experience that they had in there. Now, the deacon was the man who was sleeping by the head pastor, whom you saw being dragged out of the video. There's a statement from the Ghanaian High Commission in South Africa on this issue. Now, we're able to speak to a Ghanaian who was in this church service when this incident happened. We understand a number of them are traumatized as a result of this, and so we've had to exercise discretion to excuse the gentleman from joining us tonight. But this is the statement you have on the screen there. The attention of the High Commission of the Republic of Ghana has been drawn to an incident in which members of the congregation of the Johannesburg branch of the Ghanaian Church of Pentecost were robbed of their valuables at gunpoint and a deacon of the church kidnapped. So that's the confirmation there. During church service on the 29th of October, 2023, which was yesterday. The mission is presently working with the church in cooperation with the South Africa Police Service, SAPS, to ensure the speedy and safe release and return of the victim to his family. Kindly note that the South African police is fully focused on the matter and is working hard to ensure the safe return of our compatriot. Mission wishes to advise all members of the Ghanaian community to take necessary precautions to ensure their safety and well-being. Mission will update the community of any further developments related to the case. The Ghana High Commission, Pretoria, 30th October today, 2023. This is the statement issued confirming the details of what we saw, and then also the unfortunate news of the kidnapping of the deacon of this church. It's something that we're keeping a close eye on, and when, based on our own discretion, we also get responses from the Ghanaians who were in this church, that they are in the right psychological and frame of mind to speak to us on this matter, we will. We're knocking on the doors of the Ghanaian High Commissioner to South Africa as well on this. So stay with us here on Ghana Tonight, and also in our subsequent bulletins, we'll get a lot more responses to this matter. But coming up next year on Ghana Tonight, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has closed the case against the under fire former Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Charles Eduboahin, saying there is no law on which the office can prosecute him. Does this bring closure to this case? That's a question. Martin Pebo, with private legal practitioner, Adam Sena, who's the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. They're going to be joining me together with my colleague, Dennis Paberi-Wadam, who will run through the specifics of the Special Prosecutor's report right after this quick break. Stay with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
A Franco Trading Enterprise at the Braka branch. About phones near accessories, and in your make a win Nadia. When you say Franco Trading Enterprise, number one. Your television set from 24 inches to 65 inches, air conditioned from 1.5 horsepower to 2.5 horsepower. Your CCTV cameras, Bluetooth speakers, your phone covers, protectors, pen drive, hard drive, iPhone, Samsung, Infinix, Huawei. It's a full beer open Uyasima Fanebia. Pura Franco Trading Enterprise. Franco Trading Enterprise. Phones papa, television papa, air conditions papa, accessories accessories papa nyina.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chesena me ankasa me period na say problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chesena nya asem ketewa na me kwan point no mo hwe me mogam no mo hwe bibia na so mo medu a me fae no ene ma won kra me enu foforo kwa na me kwan mu a eba
head everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama nura ene ne ho idea wotumi asori anante.
That's end point for you.
Of Acrobato.
Hello.
Hey, ohwehwe what che.
Okay.
A free bra wo di end point wa dance. Am me call you no. Me Johnson say my name koye and person my emre nyina na magina sebema na me be fie for there e kwa de nyina jaresa.
You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
Our mission here at TV3 is that the news comes first, and that's the promise of News Central.
With reporters every corner of the country.
Consignment to attend their action.
To production, building lions.
And experts across the subjects that affects you the most.
We stay across the big stories that impact you the most as they break, develop and evolve into major national issues.
With all angles covered across the country and across every subject. I am Kemini Amano.
And I am Eric Mawina Egbeta.
News Central, coming soon on TV3.
TV3, first in news. Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. Now, the special prosecutor of the Office of Special Prosecutor has closed the case against and the former Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Charles Edouboying, saying that there is no law on which the office can prosecute him. But we want to understand if this brings a closure to this case against Charles Edouboying after that investigative piece by the late Ahmed Swale and Anas Arimia Anas as well for the Tiger IPI. Now, my colleague Dennis Baberi-Wedam is joining us. Dennis, what else do we know about this statement that was put out by the Special Prosecutor earlier today?
Well, so the Special Prosecutor has indicated to us that he spent so much time working on this particular issue that was brought to him. I mean, the matter he indicated was actually referred to his office by the President. That was after the Tiger IPI team released their documentary on a Galamsey economy, parts of which implicated the then Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Charles Edouboying. So the OSP takes some time to go through the processes, how the matter came before him and what he had done for 6 months before releasing the report. One of the things that the OSP spent quite some time on is the matter as to whether he should even be looking into the matter because it was done as a result of undercover investigative journalism. He makes the case that there are people who disagree with the operations of the undercover journalists, people who he says they are opposers, people who he say they are, they describe it as entrapment, people he say, they say that the approach adopted by the Tiger IPI team is what they say it's investigative terrorism, not investigative journalism. He used illustrations just to make the point that for them, at the office of the OSP, they do not see anything wrong with that kind of approach as long as it is able to unearth crime. So that was one of the things that the OSP actually spent so much time to make that particular case. But in conclusion, he came to the point that, well, the conduct of Charles Edouboying in what was shown in that particular video, even though it was wrong, considering the fact that he's a public officer, he does not find any law that actually prohibits the conduct. He describes what he did as influence peddling. And if you do recall, this is not the first time we are hearing influence peddling.
Indeed.
Yes, in the case of La Bianca, the OSP had cause to go after the La Bianca company for what he then referred to as influence peddling, because one of the owners of the La Bianca was said to be a member of the Council of State.
True.
But then in this instance, we understand that for influence peddling, as was in the case of Charles Edubuahin, the OSP is unable to find specific laws under the laws of Ghana that prohibit that. And for that reason, he is unable to proceed with that particular case. But he however, indicates that if the need be later for them to reopen the case and go into it, the OSP will do just that. Just to show you some specifics and exact quotations from the OSP statements having to do with what he says. He also makes some recommendations, but we'll get there later. But let me show you exactly what he says when it comes to the matter of the conduct of Charles Edubuahin as it relates to the laws of Ghana.
Exactly. And the issues relating to this influence peddling, because it keeps coming up, does it not?
Yes, it keeps coming up every now and then. And that's the reason why the OSP in this particular report also makes some recommendations for some passage of some laws, including what has been a very famous advocacy now, including what we also organize as a thought leadership program to also advocate for the passage of the conduct of public officers.
Bill, yes.
And yes, public officers bill. So, if you permit me, this is what the OSP say. Okay, so on this score, this is on the recommendation that was actually made, that on this score, the OSP calls for the passage of the Corrupt Practices Act to comprehensively codify the prohibition of all forms of corruption.
Right.
He goes on to say that further, the OSP enjoins up with the positively persistent calls for the pressure group, Occupy Ghana, for the passage of a Conduct of Public Officers Act to properly regulate the conduct of public officers. Alfred, it is important to know that when the OSP says that he does not find any law that prohibits the conduct of Charles Edubuahin, which he describes as influence peddling, he's making that reference based on the law that he works with, and that is Act 959, the Office of the Special Prosecutors Act.
Fantastic.
Now, in that particular act, you would find that there's an interpretation section, which is section 79. When you read that carefully, the definition of what amounts to corruption and corruption-related offenses have been listed. And we have taken our time to look at each of the offenses that have been listed under that particular section. It mentions some sections in our criminal code, which include sections 146, which talks about dishonestly receiving property. It talks about section 151 of Act 29, which talks about extortion. Talks about section 179C, using public office for profits, which is famously referred to as corruption, like the definition of corruption. It talks about corruption of and by public officer or juror, which is in section 239. 252 talks about accepting or giving bribe to influence public officer or juror. 6 talks about corruption promised by judicial officers or juror, which is found in section 253. It goes on to talk about section 254, which talks about corrupt selection of jurors. Section 256 talks about corruption, intimidation, and personation in respect of election. Section 258 talks about falsification of return of election. And then 260 talks about withholding of public money by public officers. Section 92.9 of Act 663, that is the Public Procurement Act, talks about offenses relating to procurement. And when you check there too, there's a list of offenses which are specifically listed as, that can also be deemed as corruption and corruption-related offenses. The last one also talks about existing offenses under enactments arising out of or consequent to the offenses above. So it means that any offense that flows from all those that we have listed already would be under that. So in essence, what the OSP is saying that after looking at all these laws, he does not find any specific law that prohibits influence peddling. And that is why he's now calling for the passage of some specific laws that will regulate that space.
Fantastic detail there, Dennis. Appreciate you. Dennis Badbury is here with the legal desk here at Media Journal. But Adam Sinano is the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Zano, this outcome must concern you, is it not? That the OSP says, yes, I have sufficient evidence of influence peddling against Charles Edubuahing, but there's no legal regime to prosecute him, isn't it?
Absolutely. Extremely worried. Especially in the context that this is not something we were not aware about. We're very much clear in our minds because right from, even the middle of the year, when the Adapa issue came out, many civil society organizations wrote appeals to the presidency, telling him, please make sure you pass the Conduct of Public Officers Bill because there is a gap. We have a serious lacuna when it comes to the legal architecture to deal with some of these issues. And if we are not going to be complicit, if leadership and the presidency doesn't want people to think that they are complicit in trying to allow persons engage in such actions to get away, then we should promote the necessary laws that allow the anti-graft agencies to be able to find such people culpable. But that hasn't happened, and that's sad. So essentially, this report is demonstrating the fact that our legal framework is not tight enough. We have a lack of alignment with the ANCAC, the UN Convention Against Corruption, because it covers this issue, which we don't have a law against, and that's unfortunate. And also the AUCPCC, which also requires us to have a law that covers these issues.
Indeed. Lamatic Pebo is private legal practitioner, is also joining us. Lamatic Pebo, thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. And so is this a closed chapter for the OSP in, about this investigation into Charles Edubuahing's dealings?
No, it's not a closed chapter. In the first place, the OSP report itself makes it clear that they are not closing the docket. So if in future it can be reopened, or if further evidence is discovered, yes, they can consider same, and then there could be charges. So it's not been closed. It's expressly stated in the report that that's not the end of the matter, but they are just closing it for now. It can be reopened based on evidence. You see, based on further evidence. But then I'm looking at it that, sometimes I'm thinking the second point is that from the way the OSP is done the report means that it should be going to the Attorney General. Attorney General should also look at it. But I'm thinking that perhaps OSP should look at it again because of the common definition of corruption being using public office for private gain. You would see that from the findings made by the OSP, Charles Edubuahing took $40,000. $40,000. If you multiply $40,000, that's maybe minimum about 500,000 Ghana cedis, right? What for? To be able to help facilitate the meetings and etc. If that's not corruption, I don't know what else will qualify for corruption. So that particular part that this is influence peddling, and so it's not corruption, I'm struggling to understand it. You see, yes, it's influence peddling, but that doesn't mean that's the only characterization that can be given to it. Let's use the ordinary meaning of corruption, which is that a public officer, a public servant, uses his office for private gain. Edubuahing was not given the money just because he's Edubuahing, but because of where he is placed. You see, where he is placed as a political appointee, he's paid from the consolidated fund, etc. So he's been a public officer. It's not in doubt. He's been political appointee and this of the government, etc. That one is not in doubt.
Indeed. Lamatic Pebo, thank you for establishing context on this matter. And indeed, that conversation about this position by the OSP is a subject for a lot of conversation going forward. And we want to say a big thank you to the many of you who helped us with Ghana Tonight. But before that, the Ballon d'Or winner, has been announced. And yes, as expected, Lionel Messi has won it for the 8th time. Infinity. That's how it's termed now. Lionel Messi, Ballon d'Or winner for the 8th time. And followed by Cristiano Ronaldo, Michel Platini. Then you have a few others as well following in that order. And yeah, Presec Legon also winning the National Science and Maths quiz for the 8th time as well. So that is what happened today. So congratulations to the Messi fans as well. While we are talking about congratulatory messages, we say congratulations to the team Ghana Tonight as well for winning the television program of the year, English category, at the 27th Ghana Journalist Awards, that's GJA Awards, yesterday. Take a look at that grand announcement yesterday.
The program has become a meeting point for its targets audience, including middle-level management, C-suite executives, policymakers, and the youth who watch via social media. The Ghana Journalists Association Award. Congratulations, Media General. With the rest of the categories.
Well, so this is exactly how we clinched this award last night. On behalf of the team and here on Ghana Tonight, Dennis Proberi, Wedam, Lord Asari, Atukwamina Hazel, and the online Lord Nate, and then also Kwame Amo, Felix, and also we have Eric Nate, and then also the Eric Aite, and the likes of Astos Sanyable, Michael TJ, and our guest who stay late to join the show, from the highest to the lowest, and to you, our viewers as well, for staying up to watch us, to make us number one. We're just a little over a year old, and this is just an encouragement that it can get better. So I want to say thank you very much. The directors who are working behind the scenes, making sure that this goes well, the cameramen and everybody out there, Richard, and then also Michael, Mavis Asari, Nee, and everybody in there, Richard Bruce, Manasseh. I want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for all the hard work you put into this program. And we are always open to the feedback that would help us grow, to tweak this program, develop it the best way possible for you, our viewers. So as always, feel free to get to us. It's Ghana Tonight. I want to say thank you very much for all the support throughout the last 15 months that this program has been on your screens. Thank you to the news team as well for giving us all the foundation and the solid support to get to where we are today. The Group CEO and management of Media General, thank you. Thank you very much as well for all the support. On behalf of the rest of the team, thank you so much. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.